I think I want to review a fighting game today. Not you. You're too good for this world. Ugh. Take it down a notch. Perfect.
Hey friends, I'm Pragmatik and I like to talk about video games. And the game I want to talk about today is Gundam Battle Assault 2. Now we got a lot of Gundam games at the height of Gundam's popularity, and a lot of the titles were pretty good. One of the best examples in my opinion was Gundam Battle Assault 2, with there technically being 3 in the series, but I feel 2 really hit the ball out of the park. And we'll talk about why that is in just a moment. So for now, let's get into it.
Gundam Battle Assault 2 was the second installment in the Gundam Battle Assault trilogy, if you can call it that, but we'll get to that later. This installment focused on building upon the first game, upgrading to fully rendered 3D backgrounds and adding new mobile suits to the roster. And we're talking mobile suits of all varieties, from the small to the absolutely gargantuan. There are a few modes available in this game, such as Story Mode, Versus Mode, Survival, and Time Attack. The two most important being Story and Versus. While you can't go through Story Mode with every single mobile suit, you do get a select few to play out a small story in their selective series. What makes it so great is that the characters are not only voiced, but they are actually voiced by most of their original voice actors, something a bit rare at the time.
A red mobile suit? So you won't back off after all?
So it's come to this. The fate of the Shaolin Temple depends on me.
You're not the only one with big dreams. Machine gun punch fire!
As I understand it, this game was actually more marketed towards an American audience, which makes sense, but is also a little confusing. Gundam was popular around this time frame due to the success of Gundam Wing and side stories like the 08 MS Team, my personal favorite. But for it to be geared towards an American audience is also rather confusing, as a lot of the mobile suits in this roster wouldn't be familiar to an average Gundam fan. Hydra Gundam in particular was exclusive to the G-Unit manga of Gundam Wing, so if you didn't know your Gundam, you were just like, that's neat. You know what isn't confusing? The format of this fighting game. Instead of using staples like energy gauges in your standard fighting game, this game gives you a preset loadout that's readily available to you. The mobile suit you choose usually has 3 special move slots and a limited amount of ammo, so instead of having to build up gauges and the like, you can go all out with what your mobile suit has at its disposal. But be warned that until the next match, you can't recover anything you use, so you might want to ration your abilities. Or you can be like me.
Gundam Hammer!
Overheating! Not enough power!
Gundam Hammer! Gundam Hammer! Gundam Hammer! Gundam Hammer!
Gundam Hammer!
There are moves you can use infinitely, like the Heat Axe or a Beam Saber, but knowing your character will tell you how useful that will be. And these loadouts are very faithful to the style of the mobile suits themselves. For example, the Gundam Epyon has no ammo, but has a long-range Beam Saber attack and can move quicker than most, whereas Gundam Heavy Arms has no beam weapons, but a wide range of firearms to choose from. There are rules in this game that reflect the nature of the Gundam universe itself. Beam weaponry is one of the most powerful types of firepower in Gundam. As such, like the announcer warns you, most mobile suits have some form of beam weaponry, some having it in their firepower, while others have it in the form of a blade. This is a high-risk move, as usually they take a little longer to do, but they can't be blocked unless the opponent has an eye field, a force field exclusive to a few mobile suits. This announcer's a jerk, by the way. One moment he's helping you out, and the next he's insulting you in front of your face.
You need more practice.
With supporters like this announcer, who needs enemies? The balance in this game is fairly tight. Large units may seem like an easy win pick, but the speed and variety of smaller mobile suits gives you a fighting chance. Unless of course you're playing as Ball. Ball is the Danabiki of the Gundam world, sporting an overhead cannon that has very limited shots, a power drill, and the ultimate ability to spaz like a furious stenographer.
Now I've always seen this game as having 3 levels of mobile suits: small, standard, and large or mobile armor types.
Choosing your tier can define your playstyle. Small mobile suits may not seem like much, but they do seem to offer a bit more speed, and how you attack with this boost of speed can make a difference. I would say a Zaku 2S falls in the small category, as it isn't as well equipped as a Char Zaku 2S, but it's got enough moves to make it formidable, though picking these types does seem to hold a bit more of a challenge. Standard tier is just that, basically what you'd expect of a Gundam mobile suit. These are your typical picks like Wing Zero, the RX-78, or Burning Gundam. They all come with a pretty standard loadout, but they are typically more equipped and versatile than a smaller tier. Finally, you have the large or mobile armor tier. These are kind of like the boss characters of the roster, as they have a bit more unique moves. Gundams like the Double Zeta have a bigger range of beam weapons, adding a new level of power. My personal favorite, the new Gundam, doesn't have an ultimate attack, but he does have an eye field that protects him from beam weaponry and fin funnels that really give him the edge in a suspense attack. The mobile armors are as big as they get, literally. They not only have extra levels of armor, but they cover most of the stage. But like I said before, don't let that sway your decision, as being bigger means increasing the chance of being hit, not to mention controlling them can be awkward and slow. They also can't defend against anything, so choose wisely. If I'm being perfectly honest though, this game could use some tweaking. Some Gundams can just spam a stage-wide beam attack that can really just ruin the whole experience. Putting some more invincibility time between getting hit with constant beam weaponry, or even putting a cooldown on the beam weapons may have helped to make this game a little more fair.
Not only was this game fun to play, but the amount of detail was amazing as well. The game took full advantage of its 3D rendered sprites.
Each mobile suit is drawn to perfect proportion when compared to their series counterparts. Nothing looks flat or left out on their designs. Add on to that, the more hits a mobile suit takes, the more they show battle damage, which for a game like this seems imperative. It's little yet wonderful details like that that really made the game memorable. One of the more unique design choices this game made was how true to scale the mobile suits were. It's such a risk having such large suits like the Big Zam or the Neo Zil towering over other characters like they do, but sizing them down to equal every other mobile suit would have been unfaithful to the source. Having them at their true size really showed how intimidating they were supposed to be, and it was simply a must for this series, even if it did make for some hilarious matchups.
Ready?
Oh man, this was a mistake. Add on to that a soundtrack where nearly every track is an absolute hit, and you've done a Gundam fighting game justice. Seriously, go check out the soundtrack. It's got a Mega Man X kind of feel to it, and I love it.
It was the amount of detail and the gameplay that made that game so good. And with the PS2 on the horizon, it was inevitable that we'd be getting a new game in the series. And for the most part, it was good. There was just one glaring little flaw.
I thought it would be everything I ever wanted. Now upgrading to full 3D environments and transitioning from 3D rendered sprites to full 3D models, and adding to that a full 360 degree of movement and fights, this seemed like the next step in the Gundam Battle franchise, and for the most part it was. Controls were a little rough, but over time you could get a grip on it, and you even had this sweet cockpit view of shooting down an opponent, which was a really nice touch. Plus you had a set of moves that felt pleasing to perform. This was a step forward for sure, except there was that little problem that kind of defeats the purpose of it all. You made the entire game about Gundam Seed! I feel the board meetings in this game's development were about how popular Seed was at the time, and I admit, I liked it. It was a lot of
Outrun! Kira! Outrun! Kira!
but that doesn't justify the result. This wasn't even necessary. The main storyline in itself was a pretty good concept. Bandai could have just laid the groundwork there, added a few other features and released it as a totally different game, while using the same assets to make a whole different game for the Gundam Battle Assault series. But you didn't. You took a game which sole purpose was to showcase Gundams and the mobile suits from across the Gundam universe and make them all fight each other. And this is an expansive universe, yet for some reason the idea was to do away with all that and make this game solely focus on one series, which defeats the purpose of a Gundam fighting game. Sure, you can unlock a few Gundams here and there from a different series, but comparing what you can get in this game from the previous game you just had is simply laughable. It was a bad decision and you know it. This might be why we haven't seen an addition to the series in so long. 2 generations of consoles have gone by and we've got nothing. Sure, you've got Gundam Breaker and Gundam Versus, but altogether those are different beasts with an entirely new set of rules. It's time to take a step back. Remember what made Battle Assault 2 so good and build upon it, but do it right this time. Give me Iron-Blooded Orphans. Give me Thunderbolt. Give me Victory Gundam. Well, maybe not that one. But you've got series to spare. So from a fan to a series I love, try again. Gundam Build Fighters, try again.
Well, then glory to the winner!
Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. Did you have a favorite mobile suit? Did Battle Assault 3 make the series take a dip? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. And consider subscribing and sharing this video. Gently press that like button and tell me who you'd take me on in a fight. Have a great day, and as always, keep it practical.